to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Erica, you want to do roll call attendance?
Yes. Sorry. Might not be in the typical order, I apologize, but Mr. Hennessy,
Here.
Ms. Johnson,
Here.
Ms. Santiago, supposed to be joining us virtually, but she's not logged on yet. Ms. DeLucia,
Here.
Ms. DePalma,
Here.
Mr. Stacy,
Here.
Ms. Torello,
Here.
Ms. Putney,
Here.
and Ms. DeLongo.
Here. Okay. I'm just letting her know that we moved it up, so just so she knows.
Oh, yeah, she's having trouble getting in.
Is she? Oh, no, I don't look yet. You gotta let her in, she said.
She's not showing.
Oh, no, it said invalid.
Yeah.
I'll tell her resending it now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so while you get that over, we will go ahead, we are gonna move up, our action items this evening to the top of the agenda, and we'll pick back up with reports afterwards. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and start with 6.1. Discussion and possible action on approval of the superintendent's 2025-2026 proposed budget.
Yes, so we presented 2 weeks ago to the Board of Ed the proposed budget, had a workshop last week and answered some questions and engaged in a dialogue. We did receive some updated information, so RJ is going to take you through that a little bit, and then we can have some further discussion based on the information he shares.
So after our meeting on Tuesday, we had another update with Lockton on Thursday about our medical projection for next year. We had hoped it was going to get better, but the last 2 months of trends did not portray that. So you are seeing the original claims is what we based our original projection on that you see in our current budget, which brings us to a 5-year average of 9.5. You'll see the shaded peach box in the column next to it, which is the updated claims. The projection next year went from 10.4 to 10.7. And basically what they did was, it was 2 months later. Our initial experience was through the end of September. So we had October and November and December, which was current months, which they swapped out for the old months of last year to get us a truer picture, and that increased our claim projection by $300,000. Based on our method, it kept the average the same way. It kept our 5-year average 9.5 because it's not a large change over 5 years. So to be transparent, I wanted to let you know that we did have that meeting and our trend is not going in the direction that we had originally hoped it would be at this point in time. So there's 2 scenarios below. We could remain the same at the 6.6, which is the original scenario. Scenario 1 is keeping that the same. 6.6 using that 9.5, which consists of that 5-year average. Scenario 2 would be fully funding the estimated claim of 10.7, knowing that the trend is going, and if we went that way, it would increase our budget request by $1.2 million. So just wanted to put it out there. I know that it is rolling the dice either way, which way we go. We could have a good year, we could have a bad year. But just for transparency purposes, I wanted to tell you all that we did have another meeting after our workshop, and this was the outcome of it. So when you're voting tonight, you can keep that in place, whether we keep our budget the same way or make an adjustment based off of this notion.
Well, shouldn't we present what our actual projected costs are going to be?
Correct. So my point being, in years past, we've always used a 5-year projection, a 5-year average rate, which leaves us the way we are, but knowing where the trend is going, I wanted to at least give a picture of if we did fully fund that and not use the 5-year average to come up with a projection, that's the impact it would have on our budget. Any questions?
Any clarifying questions?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion. I think so.
What's the motion?
To
That
approve
we
the
increase
superintendent's
the,
budget?
we increase the ask.
Scenario 2.
Scenario two.
So, or are we going with,
All right, how about this? I make a motion to approve the superintendent's proposed budget for 7.8 million.
second?
Okay, so to be clear, we're going to increase the budget that we discussed by the 1.2
Yep.
to bring medical to 7.8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's the total? Is the new total again? The whole new-
So our original ask, I believe,
Was 6.9?
was 6.9, so we'll go to 8.1.
8.1 increase. So I propose we approve the superintendent's budget for an increase of what's it again?
One.
$1 million.
Second.
Thank you, Jack. So at this time, questions or comments? This would be a good time? No? Anything?
What's the percent increase?
I can do some quick math.
It's like 14, isn't it?
Roughly 16 and a half.
Say again?
Roughly 16.6, give or take,
Inclusive of the medical adjustment
tonight.
that the motion includes.
Okay,
The original was around 14.
Yep.
okay.
Saying 15 or 16?
16.
16. And once we make that change and submit to the town, we will submit the revised to you all as well, if that's how we vote tonight.
All right, motion on the floor. Erica, roll call vote.
Ms. DePalma?
Yes.
Ms. DeLongo?
Yes.
Mr. Hennessy?
No.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Putney?
Yes.
Ms. Santiago?
Yes.
Mr. Stacy?
Yes.
Ms. Torello? No. Dr. DeLucia?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to 6.2, discussion and possible action, the request of asset disposal for obsolete audio-video items at adult ed.
So I believe in your packet are some photos, correct?
Yeah, they're at the very,
So in the matter of streamlining with tech, we are getting a good inventory of our assets at adult ed. We've had a pile of these obsolete TVs and printers that no longer work, and in moving some of our Overbrook classrooms to adult ed facilities, we're looking to clean up some space, so just looking to dispose of these. Many of them are not even in workable condition currently.
make a motion that we dispose of the obsolete audio and video items at adult ed.
I second.
Anybody have any questions or comments? No? Roll call.
Ms. DePalma?
Yes.
Ms. DeLongo?
Yes.
Mr. Hennessy?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Putney?
Yes.
Ms. Santiago?
Yes.
Mr. Stacy?
Yes.
Ms. Torello?
Yes.
Dr. DeLucia?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. That includes our new business for this evening. We will move back up into the agenda, starting with reports. For myself tonight, I just would like to thank everybody for making it here to vote on the budget. I know everyone is busy, and we had our extra meeting last week. So I'm just going to move on to correspondence. Put on my glasses. We did get some correspondence. Everyone has these in their packets?
I think they're uploaded online.
They're online, they are uploaded, okay, so these are uploaded online. We have public correspondence from Danielle Blackstone, the 2 letters, that I believe everyone was on the email, on the, I'm sorry, safety issue at Memorgwin. I believe they're here tonight, right, you're here tonight to speak though? Okay, okay. All right, so I don't have to read through, everyone does have it in their packet. And, okay, they're both basically regarding the same thing, and I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more in detail in a moment. Great. Standing committee reports. Policy, I don't really have anything we're holding.
We're close to bringing a few policies to the board. One is a revision of the 504 policy. We just received the language that we've been working with legal, so that should be coming on the February 11th board meeting. We're also working on adding to the telecommunications policy, that's the cell phone policy, around the use of personal and privately owned devices in schools. And Randall hopefully will be here to talk a little bit more about that and bring some revised language specific to that. And then RJ is working on a food service policy as required by the recent food service site visit and audit. And we have the rental policy that the board wanted to take a peek at for possible revision in terms of the fee charged for using the facilities as of July 1, 2025. So those policies will be forthcoming.
Possibly maybe a policy workshop before
Sure.
our next meeting if we to do that.
Before the next, like on February 11th
Yeah.
at 6?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think so.
Michelle, just as a note of policy, I'm sure you guys know, but I think some parents had reached out to different board members about immigration officials visiting, and the CSDE did release guidance. I believe it was earlier today.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
I just
yep.
wanted to make sure that
There's another
it's
one,
aware
yeah.
that that was released by the state today.
Yeah, not in policy form or directive form. It was guidance. It was in accordance with the guidance that received from Shipman and Goodwin several days prior. Basically, should visitors come to our school, we're going to engage in our standard protocol that includes security and showing ID and documentation, walk them to a public area of the school building, like the school main office, where they will wait and we will access legal and/or police services if necessary to help guide us through any requests that come.
Yeah, I got that from four
But
institutions. the
Shipman
same
did
letter.
say the likelihood of that happening is very low,
Yeah.
so. But that's sort of like the protocol we'll engage in.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Athletics.
Yeah, athletics.
One thing many of you probably already heard, but Coach Payne with boys hockey attained his 500th win Monday evening. It's quite an accomplishment. So
Nice.
congratulations to Coach Payne and our varsity
It is.
hockey program.
Nice.
So 13th to the 15th of February, the middle school is doing Alice in Wonderland. So that's coming up pretty soon too.
14th, you said?
13th, 14th, 15th.
Is that
Please
just,
for you to
that's
take
JMMS, not the
Significant other for
academy or
Valentine's
the...
Day.
Mhm.
Who's else?
Yeah, it's both.
Okay.
Sorry.
Was there a document or a flyer circulated for that, like a publication done?
It's a good question. I saw it come through Parent Square for EHA.
Okay,
I'm not sure about JMMS.
you did? Okay, I'm gonna grab that and include it in my newsletter going out on Friday.
Sure, I know they are like
To
selling
the
tickets
entire
online
district.
already.
Yeah, they are, okay. Perfect, it's a prime time to get that communication in my district newsletter.
And I believe tickets will be also sold at the door each night.
Yes.
As well.
This is the
Very
Jefferson
exciting.
Airplane version? Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall. Oh, no?
No, it's Alice in Wonderland Junior.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. And I think with personnel, we're actually setting up into a new round of negotiations. Did we set our dates yet for, was it custodians?
We have not,
Okay.
no.
We'll keep everybody posted. Other than that, superintendent's report.
But we might be reaching out to schedule a special meeting for some personnel updates as well. So my report this evening, Lisa, if you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to give you a little data snapshot of some birth to 3 data that Bob and I have been taking a look at. I put the presentation in front of you, but Lisa's going to pull it up on the screen. And the first slide really just shows the birth to 3 data trend from fiscal year 2013 all the way through 2023. So it's a 10-year glance. And what you can see is in the blue shaded areas are the total number of eligible students that entered the birth to 3 system compared to the total number of students within that age group in Connecticut. And you can see it's growing, and the trend shows it increasing from, around, and of course, the number was lower in fiscal year 2013, but it's upwards near 63% are eligible of all children in Connecticut of that age. In 2023, just under 7,000 children exited the Birth to 3 program, which is great because the idea is for the system to provide the supports and interventions that closes a quick developmental gap so kids can exit. But I show that just so you can see overall across Connecticut, the number of children eligible for Birth to 3 services is growing. On the next slide, you'll see just the snapshot of the top 5 diagnoses in 2023. 14% prematurity, 13% autism, 12% brain and spinal cord injuries and malformations, 9% deafness or hard of hearing, and 7% speech sound disorders and childhood apraxia. On the next slide, I just wanted to show you in Connecticut the top 10 languages that were spoken in homes of children who were visited by Birth to 3 providers, not unlike the distribution in our own district. And then finally, on the next slide, I'm bringing us into our district so you can see our Birth to 3 trend from 2019-20 to 2022-23, which is the most recent published Birth to 3 data that we have. And in the top row, you'll see the number of live births for that year. So in 2019-20, there were 262 live births. Of those 262 live births in East Haven, 189 of them were referred to Birth to 3. 69 were evaluated, 45 were eligible, and in that particular year, 118 students were served. The reason why the number of students served is greater than the number of kids evaluated and eligible is because Birth to 3 services can start from 0 and go to 3. So you have reoccurring kids in that served number. So you could see our births are fairly consistent. It doesn't vary greatly by hundreds of kids. It's like, plus or minus 30, 40 kids. The referred numbers have decreased significantly since 2019-2020. The number of kids who are being evaluated is roughly the same. There's no major change there. The number of kids who are actually eligible for services, though, that is increasing. And that's where your specialized staff comes in and the need for the specialized staff. OTs, PTs, speech pathologists, behavior analysts. Bob, am I missing anybody?
No, psychology.
Psychologists, yeah, social workers. Right. And then the number of total students served throughout that span from 0 to 3 remains pretty consistent, because as kids, as kids are exiting and more kids are coming in, the number of kids served is staying stable. What's just a little bit concerning is the number of students who are really becoming eligible. It's more and more. So on the next slide, I just wanted to show you, this is the same exact data that Bob put together. He just put it in a visual form as opposed to numbers in a table. It's the referred, evaluated, eligible, and served by year. So you can make some comparisons and look at the data that way. And on the last slide, which was a slide I just received today in a meeting I had with a commissioner from the Office of Early Childhood regarding their plan to expand pre-K access in Connecticut over the next several years. This graph is showing exactly how they plan to do that, provided that the funding is appropriate and stable. And they're really working hard to try to streamline programs so that they all have similar criteria, and there's not so much variability between them. The unmet need, they're drawing a line. God, it's so small I can't see it on my little computer. They're drawing a line at around 58,000 preschoolers across Connecticut, and they're holding that stable over the course of this projection. But you can see the difference between the State Department of Education's Smart Start classrooms, which are in orange, the new Smart Start classrooms that they're planning on adding, which are in blue, the Office of Early Child's federal early child education funding, so that's school readiness, is in brown. What does that say? Oh, they're putting out new requests for applications for additional preschool slots with additional funding that they have, so those will be new slots. And then they have the Early Start Preschool Expansion, which is the blue at the very top. And that's where they're really significantly trying to grow the slots and the funding to get close to the unmet need line of $58,000. Of 58,000 students. If you look where we are currently, it's low. We're way below the unmet need. But by 2032, with all of these additional access points, they're hoping to get right underneath that unmet need line. So as the needs of students and preschoolers coming out of birth to 3 increases, the Office of Early Childhood and the State Department of Education are really trying to work together to streamline preschool programs and increase districts' capacity to provide more preschool programming so that services can happen in districts as opposed to in homes, making it more efficient and effective. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Andre, did you have any updates?
No updates. I think all the questions were
Yeah,
addressed.
great.
Anything on invoices, POs?
What about assistance with-
I just had a quick question. The Apple TVs,
Yep.
were they all the schools?
Yeah, so a lot of when originally installed, the Apple TVs are past their prime and connectivity to the newer devices or not. So as they're starting to go, we're starting to rotate them through the district. It's not building at a time, but as we come across buildings that need newer ones, we're replacing them.
And that was 100? All right. Seems like a good price.
The education pricing is great through Apple. But yeah, we need a lot more than 100, but that's our
Yeah.
first initial, see how it gets us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Lisa, did you have anything for us this evening?
She does.
Adam and I wanted to do a little update on the professional learning series that we did for the 3 district days this year. We just had our 3rd one on January 6th, and we will be switching now. The rest of the remaining professional learning sessions for the year will be building-based. So we did a little bit more of an evaluation of the approach and of the learning series as a whole, rather than just session evaluations at the end of this last day. And so we wanted to provide a little bit of an update. So we're going to talk a little bit about review the guiding principles and some of the aggregate numbers that we got in response to that survey, talk about some of the key themes that emerged, give you the reflections of educators after this approach, and then our learning and next steps. So the professional growth and support plan that we introduced this year, the teachers worked with us, the PDEC committee worked with us, and the role of PDEC in designing this program was to allow for differentiation, reduce the burden of paperwork on teachers, focus on things that mattered to classroom practice, focus on growth and agency. And so when we were trying to reimagine professional learning for this year through the lens of the new professional growth and support plan, this idea of the pathways was really something that seemed like it was going to fit nicely. You've seen this graphic a number of times now, and it's really just trying to remind everybody of the through line between standards for practice and teacher education and training, and that's really where we see improvement with students. We have to continue to grow our professionals if we want to see that value in the classroom. So this is just a review again of the pathways that we offered this year. We were looking for variety. We were looking for appeal across a wide swath of teacher assignments and specialties. So we did have specific pathways for social workers and school psychologists, for people who wanted to design their own learning series, for people that were interested in learning how to better support multilingual learners or learn about the science of reading. We had a play-based learning series for our early childhood teachers that really are working with our youngest learners. So we really tried to think of something that would meet everyone's need and interest. So I'm going to share just a few data points that emerged. We had 93% favorable responses. This was after the 3rd session of full-day district PD. And this question was about the facilitator organizing learning to support engagement with the content. At each one of these sessions, we had more than 200 teachers that filled out the survey at the end of the day. Anybody that's ever sat in professional learning, you know that's an enormous number to get 200 teachers to fill out a survey at the end of a professional learning day. And the responses were very, very positive. 91% responded favorably that their pathway session was applicable to their work as an educator. Some of the comments below, that it was helpful learning about brain processes and reading, learning helpful strategies for their ELs, facilitators modeling how to use activities and strategies, but also giving them an opportunity to work directly with those strategies. So people really felt like those sessions were highly valuable for their practice at the classroom level. And this slide was really more about the afternoon time. Teachers have said that they really wanted an opportunity to be able to meet with their teams of teachers across the district, and so we built in some collaboration time on each of the afternoons, a little bit less structured, but with administrators popping in and out of those sessions, coaches facilitating and just being there to answer questions. But it is very rare that, say, the entire 5th grade team of teachers from all the buildings can sit in one space and talk about something, or plan together, or do a unit launch together. And this provided them that time. So this also was very highly regarded by teachers, extremely helpful to them, and they absolutely want to see that as something that continues.
Lisa, can I ask you a question? Are there
course.
any like more casual grade level meetings throughout the year?
Yes, we have collaboration meetings during the school day that are organized by the building leaders. Sometimes those are data team meetings, sometimes they're team meetings. That structure looks a little bit different in every building. We have a collaborative meeting every month after school that is organized with Adam with his collaborative team leads, and then they run those meetings in their own buildings. So the agenda is designed together with a representative from every building, and then those representatives go and run the meeting. So we're trying to look for ways to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be aligned and connect, but not always have to be restricted by the time schedules and the differences that exist between buildings. So the next series of slides, and we can share the slide deck if anybody wants to look at these in more detail. On the gray side, you're going to see the theme that emerged in the focused content and feedback, and then in the yellow, you'll see some of the quotes and the specific data that people reported in the surveys. So one of the themes was the value of focused, in-depth learning. That on each of those 3 days, they were learning about the same topic, but really focusing on it in a new way or a different way or a deeper way. And you can see one of the comments, I really felt having a concentrated learning pathway that continued throughout all 3 PD sessions was extremely helpful and beneficial. I think one of the things that surprised us that we saw in relation to this theme is teachers that were in one pathway would go back to their school and be trying something, and other teachers that weren't in that pathway were saying, well, when am I going to learn about that? They were feeling like they were missing out on something, rather than professional learning time feeling like people were not having their needs met. They felt like they wanted more. And that's a success in and of itself, and it gave us a lot of ideas about how to plan for next year. The importance of practical application and implementation in all of the sessions. We made sure that there was time for some direct instruction, just like you would do with students. There's some time for direct instruction, but then there was also time for practice. Letting people work with somebody that could support them as they were trying to work with a new strategy, offers to follow up in people's buildings after the fact if they needed that support. There were periodic meetings in between the different days. So we tried to offer as many opportunities as we could to provide support between the sessions. Collaborative learning and networking. People noted that they chose their pathway in collaboration with their administrator, their building supervisor, at the end of last year. So they weren't meeting with their, say, team of first grade teachers and saying, let's all do this one. Everybody chose independently in collaboration with their supervisor or evaluator. And so there were teams of teachers that might have all been in different pathways, and they said the opportunity to be working more with teachers from other buildings at other grade levels was really eye-opening and helpful and benefited their practice. Many noted different ways that the sessions impacted assessment, differentiation, and addressing the needs of diverse learners. We had a UDL pathway, Universal Design for Learning, a sheltered instruction pathway. All of the pathways really focused on including examples of differentiation and ways to accommodate a variety of learners. And then autonomy and choice in their professional learning. The personalized learning pathway was particularly valued by teachers for flexibility and autonomy. This is a further example of that. We have a nursing program here at the high school. We have one teacher who works in that program. She wanted to introduce a National Technical Honor Society. She worked part of these days on trying to work on the industry certifications and alignment to be able to bring that to East Haven High School, and that's going to be offered for the first time this year. So that's not something maybe that she would have had the time to do otherwise. And her sitting in other sessions may not have been as beneficial to her as the only nursing instructor in the district, but this provided her an opportunity to create and then apply that learning for herself. We also offered a para-educator pathway on these 3 days, and the paras, the themes that emerged in the paras feedback really centered on increased understanding of concepts and strategies, the value of review and reinforcement, like I got to hear something maybe that I hadn't learned in a long time. I got a little bit of refresher on some of those things. One of the comments even talked about like all the different acronyms that get thrown around, and she noted, I learned what all of those letters meant again, that, there's a lot of educational jargon, and if you don't live that part of it every day, sometimes it might feel like you're a little out of the loop, and it helped the paras. And then structured learning and collaboration. They had the opportunity, just like teachers, to be with paras from other buildings, from other classrooms or levels, and ask questions and learn together. And I think we had very good attendance, considering what we thought we might have, because those are not days where the paras are required to work, but they were offered that opportunity. And we had over 100 the first day. We had more than 70 on the third day. So over all the sessions, we had a large number of paras that chose to work. So for Adam and I, this model really was an action research cycle of our own, planning for this, executing the model, then really studying the results. What were people saying? After each session, we met with all of the facilitators, went over the feedback and said, before the next one, people are really asking for more of this or less of that. And we asked people to make the adjustments so that teachers were feeling like their needs were being met and their voice was being heard. Some of the things we've learned in this process for next year we want to streamline access to professional learning materials. So as we roll out the new smart sites, on the new website that's being designed right now, we really want to have a hub for professional learning. So if you weren't in the writing pathway, but you want to see those materials and have access to that and do a little more learning on your own, that there would be a common place to go that people could access that material. We want to continue to look for ways to expand opportunities for collaboration with Java-like colleagues. People really value that time, and they got a lot out of it. We want to sustain implementation with opportunities for follow-up support. When we've gone to buildings and asked people, now that you're trying, what more do you need? People are responding and they're sharing. They're requesting materials. We're getting requests for things to be sent to people. So we know that people are talking about the learning they engaged in and wanting next steps. And then balancing consistency with differentiation and flexibility. You can't give people a consistent opportunity to switch their pathway because you could never be able to plan for that over the course of the year. But we also want to make sure that there's enough flexibility and differentiation that if someone has a position change or a role assignment change or something's really not working and they have a real reason that makes sense for them to switch, that there's enough flexibility to be able to do that. And finally, I think for us, this really was about enabling conditions for change. This was a big shift in how we were executing professional learning on the district level. There are a lot of things to balance. We have policy mandates that the state has, that trainings that teachers are required to do. We had a new professional growth plan, which included rolling out new goal-setting process and evaluation process for teachers, and the whole focus was make it feel like less of a burden, and at the same time, we're going to roll out a new way to do professional learning. So trying to make all of that fit and not feel like something new was a challenge. And also, it was new leadership. Adam and I were both new in the roles. This was the first time that we were executing this process from the district level, and we really wanted it to be over the course of the year. So that was some new learning for us. Internal capacity. We have had a lot of collaboration with our professional development and evaluation committee and with our EHEA leadership, the union leadership. They've been wonderful in working with us and providing feedback on the kinds of training teachers need, the learning that they want to engage in, and That was really valuable for us in planning. We worked with the union throughout the process in planning and working out our agendas and making sure that, you know, all different stakeholder groups were being represented. Emergent teacher leadership. We had a teacher leadership pathway, and we are hoping that that group is going to come and present to you later in the year. They've all developed a problem of practice and an action plan for their buildings, and we're hoping that some of them are going to want to come towards the end of the year and kind of do a little mini symposium on the projects that they're working on in their buildings. We had great support from all of our district administrators who were liaisons in the different pathway sessions. They also provided us feedback and gave us some notes on where the direction might shift before or after upcoming sessions. We had people that were popping in and out of sessions to get a little bit of a flavor of each of them. And I think it gave administrators also a chance to engage in some of the deeper work that teachers were practicing, and then be able to go back and have those conversations with some of the teachers in their buildings as well. And we cultivated some new partnerships. We had a team of professors that came from Central Connecticut that worked with the Empowering Teacher Leader Group. We had CERC here. We had some new facilitators from ACES who were excellent at taking feedback and really adjusting for us. So we found some really good collaborative opportunities there. And then some of our teachers really went out and looked for some local resources. Our culinary team went out and met with the Little Yellow Farmhouse, I think is the name of the team. They went out and visited some farm sites, some VOAG schools that were doing a lot of work in farm-to-table approach in their culinary programs. So they really got an opportunity to go out and look for resources in the communities that surround us that would help to improve our programs as well. So I think the biggest thing we were trying to balance was the emerging needs that present over the course of the year that you can't plan for, and then you don't want those to encroach on your professional learning days, and balancing the time and the goals that people have to make sure they're still learning. But all in all, it was, we think, a great success. We're going to stick with it for next year. We're going to collect some feedback from teachers on the different pathways they might want to see offered that we didn't run this year. But we've already got requests for, you know, are you going to run that one again? Are you going to run the next level of that next year? So people are asking for this to continue, and so that's really hopeful for us. And that's it.
The lift for this was enormous, and the amount of time and back-end work in terms of the organizations, the systems, the structures, the communication is very, very significant. But the fact that people are asking about next year already is huge relative to professional learning.
Wonderful. for
We
future
also
retention.
have
Yep.
a very high staff attendance on those days, and so thank you, and Adam, for your efforts in organization and executing that to help grow our faculty and staff, which is
Yeah.
a critical part of our PDEC plan.
Yeah, Lisa, professional development is so important, and you and Adam did an awesome job, and it looks like teachers are really happy, and in the end, the students benefit, so Great
Come
job.
visit next year.
great job.
I always
Days
share
were
with them
fun.
all of the offerings. In my Board of Ed update, I always share with you, right before the PD day, all of the offerings, and you can come to any one, multiple, for a portion of the day, pop around to different sessions, whatever you would like. We'd love for you to just get a feel for what's going on and the type of energy that's happening during this time.
That was probably the hardest thing. Adam and I were the presenters for the writing pathway. So we were designing and delivering professional learning on those days as well. And on the first morning, we were like, that might have been a mistake, you know, because you have no idea if everything is going to go off. You think you've anticipated everything, but you never know. So that was another piece of it. But I think that
I can
it's
tell
very
you-
valuable to
Yes.
be in that space and be doing that work with teachers still, and we both loved it, so.
In circulating, I know I haven't made it to one of your sessions, but in
Loved it.
circulating, the energy in the rooms and the presenters and the rapport is so great, and the dialogue. And you could tell because there's a vibe that comes along with it, you know?
Yeah,
Just
there's
like
good
there is
energy.
in a classroom that's engaging versus no student engagement. The same thing happens at the adult level. And it's a great vibe on that day, and people are excited, and the energy is really great. So thank you.
And they bring that to the
welcome.
classroom.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Awesome. To do all that work and then present as well,
I know.
that's huge.
It
The
is.
presenting's the fun part.
Yeah.
Like, we
but-
like this, so, you know, we enjoyed it, but it's just a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, but
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
All right. So that brings us to accepting of meeting minutes of January 14th. Any corrections? Corrections, if none, I move that we accept the minutes from January 14th. We will do that. And now it brings us to our audience of citizens portion for this evening.
It's very brief, so everybody has things. No, we're good. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Am I good?
Yeah, just state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. It's my opening line, so.
Oh, good.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Danielle Blackstone of 36 Oregon Avenue, a parent within the district. I'd like to start with, this could have been an email, but it was and was unanswered. It's been an exciting year at Memogwin Elementary, and we have not even hit 100 days of school yet. Why am I here? I am a representative on behalf of parents and guardians who are a part of our newly formed East Haven Safety School Coalition. We have reached out to the superintendent's office with concern. Some have written unanswered letters, some have called directly with no response, and some are myself and my husband who are here tonight. The catalyst this month was the boiler room fire at Memogwin School on January 15th, followed by the seeming lack of an emergency response plan. The subsequent independent investigation performed by concerned parents. So what are our goals? To create an emergency response guide for the consumption of parents and guardians. Communication to parents that are timely and accurate. Communication should happen at the time of the event or as soon as safely permitted. Instructions should be outlined on what parents should and should not do. To have posted information reaffirming plans are in place, and parents and guardians will be contacted with specific instructions once available. What is expected of parents and guardians during an emergency? Maybe you guys know this, but we don't, and that's the problem that we're trying to solve, and we'd like to do it together. So these are things we'd like you to consider. The school has legal custody of our children during the day. We do not work for the school district nor emergency services. We are not trained to nor expect to be leads in emergencies. When we receive notices without details or instructions, we don't know what to do. If we cannot get to our children in a designated time frame with clear instructions or where they are or will be, it should be communicated. We understand and acknowledge the town emergency services and school officials have annually reviewed comprehensive emergency plans in place. We acknowledge, for security reasons, components of our emergency plans are not publicly available. What we are missing is the communication piece to the families. What are we, the parents and guardians, supposed to do? The East Haven, which I said wrong earlier, but School Safety Coalition is now asking for a representative from the superintendent's office to meet with and directly respond to the coalition as a group addressing our unanswered concerns and to work collaboratively with us to enhance current communications. I'd like to just also acknowledge that Captain Murgo and RJ were extremely responsive but I don't want to have to jump around and call 10 people to get to here, and neither does anybody else. And on behalf of the parents and guardians that could not be here, I would just like to say that, as you know, we are a working community, and I am fortunate enough to be able to leave work to come here to go back to work, because I really think this is important, and so many of us do. But we just, you know, you guys are here representing the town. You know how many people you represent in one person. So we're just asking for just a little bit of time to work through this so we're not in a full panic. So I really appreciate everybody's time here, and I'm hoping that we could just get a little bit of instruction somewhere so everybody's not bombarding the school and making everybody's lives harder when things are under control. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. And I've given everybody my contact, address, phone, email, and I'll come back again. So, thank you. Have a nice night.
Thank you so much for coming.
I guess
Thank
so.
you. Thank you. Lisa, is there
We just got
someone?
Zoom bound.
We just got Zoom bombed.
Oh,
Nice.
Sorry.
okay.
Do we open it again?
Let me try.
Do that.
Can it play from yours without sharing?
Yeah. I have it open. You might not be able to open it because I think I turned the host over to you. Yeah, I'm admitting somebody. Let's see how it goes.
That was one of them, but there were three, so
Okay.
that was not the one that opened first.
Hello, Dina. Do you wish to speak at public comment this evening? If so, can you please unmute yourself?
No, I was just here to listen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Do we have them raise their hands?
There's nobody else in there
Oh. Okay,
at this time.
all right,
The others were obviously not there to speak.
okay, all right. I would say that concludes our meeting for this evening. I'm glad everyone's here with us for the reorder. Yeah, we will adjourn. Our next meeting is February 11th. As we mentioned, due to updates in policy, we will be scheduling a policy workshop, I believe, to give everyone a chance to go over them prior to the meeting. But other than that, did anyone have any ideas that they want to add to the agenda?
I have a question. I know we're part of like the wellness, there's a wellness committee in the town.
Yep.
Is there a safety committee?
There is.
There is.
Yep.
So there's where people who are interested can
No.
attend?
There's
or
only
not? I mean,
you have
I'm
to
not talking
share.
about, that's what I mean. Is there something where people can come and?
Not just the general public, no. Just because it's for security reasons, you
no,
don't want the public to know
I
our
mean,
security plans.
I understand that, obviously. No, I'm just mean, there are other safety concerns that are not, you know, that have been brought up over the years. And maybe there should be a forum or, you know.
I've always asked if a board member wanted to be on the safety committee. Would you like to volunteer?
Sure.
RJ, make sure Lynn is looped in.
Got it.
I know Christine was on it, I believe, and I don't think we've had a board member since.
Dom was
Oh,
until
Dom,
his
that's
departure.
right.
I think Sam was as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Lynn is our new official safety Insecurity.
So it's a quarterly meeting, Lynn, I'll add you to the invites. Police, fire attend, our SROs. Many principals will attend, and many items brought to the principal's attention, such as this, are addressed with PD and fire on how to address. Bob is there from a special ed perspective, so we do handle many items that do come up.
Thank you.
Yep.